The MMA fortune teller.
The teller, the teller, the teller, the teller, the teller, the teller.
UFC Vegas 18. Alistair Overeem's taking on Alexandre Volkov. We got the legend Reem stepping back in there. A lot of us, we already know that Overeem has talked about the fact that he won't be fighting inside the octagon or in any type of mixed martial arts bout for that matter for much longer. So always a good thing when we can catch a legend like Alistair stepping in there. Please do stick with me here for this intro because I got a couple things I want to run by you guys. I would like some feedback from you guys. I got a couple questions for you. And I just want to go over a couple things before we get into the entire fight card breakdown. I know a lot of you guys have been asking me about what bets was I going for these past three cards that we had. Of course, we just had three big events to start the year off, and I want to go through those real quick for you as well. But a couple other things I want to talk about, and let's see what we got here. We will be getting into the latter of the three cards, the big boy, where Dustin Poirier took out Conor McGregor. Shout out to Dustin P here. This was the last time I bumped into him at a Titan FC event. And it was pretty cool. I bumped into him. Wasn't really a lot of people around. He was on his way out. And that was right before he was about to fight Khabib. And I told him, good luck. Go take Khabib out. Obviously, that didn't happen. And, it says over here, I made a little something. Why do you have to do Conor like that? He broke my heart on the night. We'll get into that entire card here in a second. But shout out to Dustin. Things are looking good for him. Let's see what else. Sports Betting Weekly. I'm going to be giving out a free Super Bowl pick. I will put a video up. A lot of you guys have been asking me. I kind of been slow with that channel because I'm focusing on the main channel here. This is what it's all about, the MMA side. But shout out to everybody that's riding with me on my overall sports picks as well. We've been killing it. The Florida Panthers play in the shootout the other day. Not the game last night, but the game that was about Tuesday. They went to a shootout 2 games in a row. The same team, the Blue Jackets. We hit them up the first night. You guys know what I'm talking about. But shout out to everybody that's subbed over there. I will be putting out some more videos, free content out there as well if you guys are interested in subbing. But like I said, man, it's really all about the MMA life. And that's also what I want to talk about. This is what I want to ask you guys about. MMA live discussion. We had Joe Selecki on the show last week. We had Logan Storley. For those of you diehard MMA fans, you guys know Logan Storley has a lot of promise over in Bellator. It was pretty cool. We talked about a lot of stuff. If you want to check that interview out, he will be heading to the UFC in about 2 fights or after the next 2 fights. We talked about a bunch of stuff. But the thing I want to ask you guys is I think I'm going to be taking MMA live discussion over to the Instagram world. I think I'll be doing my MMA live discussions live there on Instagram, with all types of fighters doing the interviews on the Instagram live story or however that works. It's live and these fighters will join me and I'll take that video and I will upload it over here on YouTube as well. But I think I'm going to bring it over there. So just curious if you guys are cool with that and if you guys will be catching me over there on Instagram as well. MMA fortune teller _. So wanted to throw you guys some information on that and please comment below this video. Let me know what you guys think. What else we got going on? I guess we'll get into the bets. We had the 3 cards. The first card of the year was not a good card for me. I had a solid play on Calvin Kattar. He dropped the ball. And I had another play as well that did not go my way. I had a parlay mixed in with Buckley, and Buckley did drop the ball. Overall, the first card was not a good way to start the year off. Fortunately for me, we had the Wednesday card, and then, of course, we had the big one here as well, UFC 257. But as far as the Michael Chiesa, Neil Magny card, the ball got rolling big time. I did something, I'll try to make this quick for you guys, but I did something that I don't normally do. I put a 4-team parlay together and a 2-team parlay. The 2-team parlay, I normally do those. Hit that, Umar Nurmagomedov and Vivian Araújo. Grabbed the lines early, threw big on it. As far as the other 4-team parlay, I had those same 2 fighters there, and I strung that along to this card here, UFC 257, where I parlayed Arman Sarukian with his initial opponent and Movsar Evloev. When the Arman Sarukian play fell apart, it turned into a 3-team parlay. It was in plus odds. It cashed. Obviously, Movsar handled business. Other than that, had a nice, solid, straight play on our Emir Albazi, who took out Zalgis, and I felt very good about that play, and I got a great line on it. It was almost a pick 'em. I think I got him at -105, -110, and I love that play there. Capitalized big with the 4-unit play on that. Now, also, I had a lot of action on this card. I had a big play on Michael Chandler. Straight up, Michael Chandler cashed big time for us. This wasn't going to be an official play or anything like that, but I did have I had $1,000 bet ready to go on Dustin Poirier on Bovada right before the fight started for fun. It would have paid out good. It was like a plus 260 plus 280 at the time, I think. Would have paid nice, but I didn't have it in me to pull the trigger on that. I said it all fight week. I said Dustin was the way to go. That's where the value was. But, Conor McGregor is my favorite fighter, and I didn't have it in me to bet against him. So I didn't hit that up, which I probably should have. But the night obviously didn't end the best, with Conor losing. It was tough for me, but I know some of you guys that are Conor haters are happy to see him lose. And overall, though, a bunch of solid cards. Like I said, though, we made it a very profitable 3 events. So we're in the green to start the year off, and that's what it's all about as we move forward to this following Saturday. It's Friday here now, so a week from tomorrow, and I'm glad that you guys joined me for this breakdown video. Like I said, it's a pretty good one, and I'm sipping on a martini over here, and I appreciate you guys taking your time. Whenever it is for you, if it's in the morning, afternoon, night, I appreciate you taking any of the time out of your day to listen to me break down this fight card. I'll try to make it good for you guys. I'll try to make it help you guys out to make some money on this fight card, and that's what it's all about. And with no further ado, let's get right into this card. All right, let's get to the first fight of the card. I'm not necessarily sure this will be the first fight of the night as we move through to the fight week. This was a fight that was just put together in Timur Valiev taking on Martin Day. Timur Valiev was initially supposed to fight Julio Arce. Julio Arce has since withdrawn from the fight. That was a matchup that I was very much looking forward to, and I'll let you guys know right now. I was taking Timur to win that fight. Obviously, Martin Day stepping in. I haven't even seen a line on this. I know this fight was just announced here as I'm recording this a little bit before, but haven't seen the line. But I definitely assume that Timur will be a hefty favorite here. At least that's where I have this fight capped in my mind. Timur Valiev is a guy that I've been watching on YouTube for quite some time, man. There's some cool documentaries with him. You could see him over in Dagestan and whatnot. I mean, a true Dagestani warrior. This guy has excellent grappling, and he pushes a crazy pace. The striking's there too. If you guys remember his UFC debut, did get caught, man. He was is getting a little bit too aggressive in there. He was dominating the fight against Trevin Jones, and Trevin Jones was a guy that has power in his hands. I believe the Trinidadian fighter or wherever he was from. But that dude has some grenades in his hands, and he was able to take Valiev out. Like I said, Valiev was just kept going in. He was dominating the fight, but he got caught, got put on Queer Street, and that was all she wrote for the debut of Timur Valiev. But let it be known, this guy is extremely, extremely well-rounded, and he pushes the pace, and he's a typical Dagestani. This guy's going to get those takedowns, and he's going to outwork you. So, like I said, if I was taking him over Julio Arce, damn well I'm taking him over Martin Day. This was Martin Day's last fight against Davey Grant. He was looking good, was on his way, in my opinion, to winning a decision, but got caught by Davey Grant, and you shouldn't really be getting caught by Davey Grant. That's 3 losses in a row. Lost to Anderson Dos Santos, Davey Grant, and Ping Wang Lu. Shouldn't be losing to those guys, really. You're not going to typically go out there and take out a guy like Timur when you're losing to these guys, if you guys catch my drift. So let's see where this line ends up settling at. Martin Day is going to come in there with a nice 5-inch reach. I don't even care about that. He's going to have a 4-inch height advantage. I don't care about that. I think it'll just be the easier for Timur to get under those hips and get in on those hips and get some takedowns and do really whatever he wants to do in there. So that's how I feel about that. And yeah, keep an eye on that guy, Timur Valiev. I'm telling you guys right now. And Martin Day does have some technical stand-up, but I'm just cutting to the chase with you guys. As you guys can tell, I'm quite the supporter or quite the believer in Timur Valiev, even though he got knocked out in his debut. Yusuf Zalal taking on Sangwoo Choi, the Korean fighter, the rangy and tall striker for the division, who's really been getting thrown in there. Since making his UFC debut, fighting guys like Movsar. You know how high I am on Movsar. Gavin Tucker, a very talented fighter. And then finally getting a victory against Suman Mokhtarian, who I don't necessarily feel is quite the UFC caliber of fighter. I feel like he had a padded record and whatnot, but we'll see how his career goes and whatnot, what happens with him. But Yusuf Zalal is a kid that's 24 years old. He's coming off a loss to a guy in Ilya Topuria, who many of us feel it can be a potential title challenger in not too long. Yusuf Zalal is completely well-rounded, great grappling, great striking, great pace. He's very quick in there. If anything, you could say maybe he's undersized at times, but he'll be going into this fight with an actual a half inch of reach, believe it or not. Choi being 6 foot. Choi, like I said, a pretty good striker as well on the feet. I think that it'll play out somewhat close, but I think I give Zalal the edge there as well. I think Zalal can mix in a couple takedowns and whatnot. He'll be the more well-rounded fighter. The Moroccan Devil, this guy is he's one of the I would consider him a B-level prospect, which is a pretty high level. This kid's a prospect, and he's slowly making a name for himself. So there's the Moroccan Devil right there, man. Look at the face. Working my boy Peter Barrett, right? Peter Barrett. I'm actually gonna have Peter Barrett on MMA Live Discussion. That's a guy that I just was talking to, and we'll be having him for a live interview on Instagram very soon here. So that was a good performance for Zalal before taking that loss to Topuria. But I am taking Zalal here. We take a look at the line. Yusuf Zalal right around -245. Sengwoo Choi. You can almost get him right around that 2-1 value as a dog. So if you feel like he can keep it on the feet and this fight may play out close, Zalal coming off the loss, maybe you see some value there. I'm gonna side more with Zalal just being the more well-rounded fighter and pulling off the victory. As far as the line, do you think that's too high or whatnot? We'll see how it plays out. Let's see if he delivers. But I'm taking Yusuf Zalal to win the fight. Carol Rosa taking on Jocelyn Edwards, who was just in there, right? Jocelyn Edwards, who pulled off the victory against the Chinese fighter Yanin Wu. That was a fight where Yanin Wu looked good in the first round. She did look good in the first round, but after that, Edwards continuously pushed the pace, and she looked good in there. Good hands, good Muay Thai striking. She's an aggressive fighter, as we saw her take over in the later rounds, like I said. Carol Rosa is a girl that starts off slow. We saw her get tagged a little bit here and there in some of her more recent fights, but continuously will push the pace, walk her opponents down, and toughen up in there. She'll eat a bunch of shots, and then she'll toughen up. She'll march you down, and she'll start landing some heavier shots. You could tell that she's very confident in there. She's a very physically imposing girl, and she's a solid fighter. She definitely knows what she's doing in there, and she's coming into this fight, of course, as a favorite. Once again, she's been a favorite in all her fights almost, so people are a supporter of what she brings to the table. But I do think that Jocelyn Edwards is a girl that's going to show up to fight. She has a 2.5-inch reach. She's a little bit more rangy. If she can keep this fight standing, I think that this fight may play out very close. But I think Carol Rosa can mix in a takedown here and there, like she did, like Yanin Wu did in the first round, and I don't see why Carol Rosa won't rise to the top in this fight. But as far as the line goes, Carol Rosa right now is, where we got Carol Rosa right around almost a 2-1 favorite, -190. So it's women's mixed martial arts. Be careful, but I do like Rosa there. I'll back my girl Rosa. I feel pretty confident she'll show up. Like I said, she might start off a little bit slow, but I do think she'll come around. So Carol Rosa to win that fight. Two guys here with some real potential. We got Odi Osborne taking on Denis Bonder, the Ukrainian fighter. Goes by the nickname of the Psycho, and his fighting style kind of collaborates with that nickname. I mean, he's aggressive in there. You got to like the energy that he brings. He's willing to sit in the pocket, throw some heavy hooks. He's well-rounded. He's been pulling off some decent submissions in there too, some head and arm triangle chokes, and this and that. Odi Osborne. Odi is a guy that really impressed me on his Dana White's Contender Series debut. He was the dog going into that fight against Armando Valerio, a guy that has a lot of promise as well, a lot of potential. Went in there, he got the armbar off him, so he did show that he's diverse. Because if you ask me, you take a look at that Kelleher fight where he got caught with the guillotine. Before he stuck his head in there and made that mistake, he was looking very, very flashy on the feet, very aggressive, very athletic. So I could see Odi showing some wrinkles in his game as time progresses. We really haven't been able to see that much from him. We've seen 2 fights with the UFC brass, and I think this is a guy that can really show us some things. Definitely has to learn and not make mistakes like this. You never want to stick your head in there. That's an elementary mistake. I mean, these are mistakes that guys make that are, some solid wrestlers that are coming over to the MMA gym. They're trying to learn they're trying to learn how to grapple and whatnot. They're sticking their neck in there and getting caught with that. I don't want to make it sound, I don't want to make it seem like it's, too much of a mistake. Obviously, fighters are going to get caught by the guillotine. Keller has a very nice guillotine as well. He's been pulling that move off on a lot of guys, but high caliber opponents shouldn't be sticking their necks in there the way that he did. And I think that he'll learn from that mistake. I think that, like I said, this kid has a lot of potential. But I do think that Bandar is a guy that can go in there and he can pull off a sub as well. I've seen him pull off subs. You pull up the fights that he's been in, he'll pull off, like I said, arm triangle chokes and a couple other ones. He's aggressive on the feet. Only problem I have with him and his Bandar, if you look at the level of skill of his opponents, it's pretty low level. So that's one thing that you got to keep an eye on going into this fight. But I'm going to side with Bandar. I think that he can go in there, and I think he has the potential to possibly pull off a late sub. I think that he's aggressive enough on the feet that he can hang with Odie there as well. But I do think that Odie's very live at plus 140 and minus 175 on Agan Bandar. You better see something there to take him because Odie's gonna deliver a fight. So minus 175. That's not necessarily a cheap line. It's not a cheap tag, so be careful there. All right, we got Devontae Smith taking on Alex De Silva. Devontae Smith, not to be confused with, what's his name? Devontae Smith, spells it with a T-A, from Alabama, who hopefully is going to my Miami Dolphins in the draft here. But Devontae Smith, King Cage versus Alex De Silva. This is a very nicely matched up fight here. Devontae Smith is coming off that knockout against Kama Worthy. I've had him on the show. You guys know that, man. Kama's a beast, carries some real power. Devontae Smith just, made an error in there and got caught. But I do think that Smith is a very dangerous striker. I think he's a very dangerous opponent for any of the guys he steps in there with. He can knock them all out. This is a good matchup here. Alex De Silva is a guy, keep this in mind, man. Alex De Silva is very young, 25 years old. So, he was making his UFC debut against a guy in Alexander Volkov that had many more fights at the time. Started the fight off good, and then he made some mental errors, but he's such a young kid. He's going to work on his cardio. He's going to work on pacing himself. The butterflies of stepping into the UFC octagon at a young age of 24. And this kid's going to come around. I really do believe he has potential to be a solid Brazilian fighter here. So, this is an excellent matchup. The line is just about even, and I kind of agree with it. I'm going to take Alex De Silva here based on the fact that as he cruises into his mid-20s, I think that we're going to see his overall game start to really progress. I know Devontae Smith is also only 27, but coming off a devastating knockout, I like what De Silva showed in the Brad Riddle fight. Brad Riddle is a guy that I do hold pretty high, so I think that he's a guy that there's no shame in losing in a fight, especially the way it was. It was a closely contested matchup. He was in there throwing down, and I think that Alex De Silva has some real potential here. He's a decent grappler, and I'm going to edge him to win this fight. I wouldn't be surprised if Smith caught Silva with something, though. Like I said, Smith does have dynamite in his hands. How about this one? Michael Johnson taking on Clay Guida. So, I was just talking about Dustin Poirier. Let's not forget MJ knocked out Poirier. Of course, I know you guys, I don't want to kill you with these same stories, but I told you guys the story about sitting next to Michael Johnson when he fought Nate Diaz and how he brawled out with the Diaz fans. You guys know that story. The Johnson brothers are wild. Clay Guida's a wild man as well. Let's not forget that. Let's not get it twisted. Clay Guida is a wild man as well. And in my opinion, Michael Johnson makes a lot of mental errors inside the octagon. That's why he is 19-16. You heard that correct. That's why Michael Johnson almost has a 500% record there, man. Almost as many losses as wins. You look at these fights, man. Look at even this recent fights. The Thiago Moises fight. That was a fight that he was looking amazing, really putting everything together in the first couple rounds of the fight. Thiago Moises gets the fight down to the mat, or grabbed the leg, pulled off the submission, pulled off the ankle lock. But Michael Johnson was flirting with it. He allowed that to happen. losing to Stevie Ray, got knocked out by Josh Emmett. I mean, you even run the tape back even, way further than that. He makes mental errors in there, but when he does put it together, he's very, very talented. The striking is legit. He works on his striking with the best of them. Henry Hoof, you guys know I'm a big supporter of all those guys, and he trains with the best of them. But I think Clay Guida is a guy that can go in there and he can get some takedowns in this fight, and he can take a W here, and that's why I'm going to take Clay Guida. As a plus 165 dog, I still edge Clay Guida. Clay Guida coming off 2 losses as well against Bobby Green, Jim Miller. The Bobby Green fight, he was in there pushing the pace, trying to take that fight. He's 39 years old now. He's way up there in age, but I'm still going to take him here. I think that Michael Johnson is going to give up some takedowns. I do. But at the same time, if Guida can't get those takedowns, Michael Johnson can definitely hurt him. I truly believe that, and I think he can get a finish in there quite easily as well if he lands some solid shots. But I'm going to take Guida. I'm going to take Guida there and spice it up a little bit. You guys know also, man, I had a little thing with Guida. I tried to say what's up to him. He was on the phone, and he got mad at me. But I've talked to a lot of you guys, and some of you guys that have met him and that know him said that Guida is an awesome guy. So I take your guys' word for it, considered, to my little short experience bumping into him. So I'm sure he's an awesome dude. He seems like it. All right, Mike Slow Rodriguez taking on Danilo Marquez. This is a fight. I won't make this one too long. Danilo Marquez is a guy, made his UFC debut, pulled off the victory against Kadis Ibragimov, who cannot buy a victory inside the UFC. Danilo did not impress me in that fight. Danilo Marquez is a guy that has a lot of jiu-jitsu credentials, but really isn't even pulling off that many submissions over in the MMA game, so that's not really carrying over as well as he probably would like it to. Mike Rodriguez, a guy that's, should have had a knockout victory against Ed Herman, but ends up getting submitted, so kind of got tired in that fight. Ed Herman's a crafty fighter, but that was a fight he should have already won. Mike Rodriguez will go out there and he will knock dudes out, and I think that's what he's going to do here. I think he's going to land some heavy shots on Danilo, and I don't expect that we'll see anything like this when this fight takes place. So I do like Mike Slow Rodriguez, and it's a shame what happened to Slow Rodriguez in that last fight. It was a damn shame. Should be a victory there. He should be 12-4. Did get knocked out by Da Un Jung, but and take a look at the reach too. A nice solid reach advantage, 82.5 inches compared to 77.5. He's got some things working for him, and his game's coming around. 32 years old, got into the game late. He's been working on things. So the line was right around minus 245. Maybe you want to mix it in a parlay, or like I said, you saw what happened in his last fight. Hopefully he doesn't gas out. Molly McCann taking on Lara Procopio. Lara is a solid fighter. A lot of you guys were barking on MMA Live discussion. She's a live dog. And I tend to agree with you guys. As a plus 155 dog, there's some possible value there. Molly McCann has holes in her grappling game. We've seen her taken down. We've seen her submitted by Jillian Robertson. We've seen her taken down and controlled by Talio Santos in her last fight. I do like the hands that Molly McCann possesses. She has power in her hands. And, she can hurt some of these girls on the feet. She just needs to continuously work on her grappling, and she'll be okay. But continuously goes in there as quite a hefty favorite, which is, it's funny, right? But this was the fight against Carol Rosa where she showed up. She was hanging in there in Procopio. So I do see some possible value as a dog, but overall I like Molly McCann to win the fight. I think Molly McCann will be working on her grappling, her takedown defense, and like I said, her boxing is crisp, especially for women's mixed martial arts. And she'll be in that fight with a 5-inch, just about a 5-inch reach, 5.5 reach disadvantage, but I'm not too worried about that. On the feet, she'll hold her own. Cody Stamann taking on Andre Ewell. Andre Ewell, you guys know I had him on MMA Live discussion. Hopefully, I'm going to catch up with him for a Instagram Live video here soon. Ewell was a really cool dude. And he's been showing up. Won his last 2 fights, took out Erwin Rivera, took out Jonathan Martinez in a close fight. A lot of people thought he lost, but he still showed up. He battled. Cody Stamann did not show up against Jimmy Rivera. was a guy that I was really targeting there in on that fight card, and he did not show up. And I didn't like how he was on his back foot even when he knew he was losing. Cody Stamann has gone through some. He's gone through some family issues. His brother has passed away. I feel for him in that sense. That was all relatively recent too. So I wonder where he's at mentally, but I hope nothing for the best for him. But as far as fight performance, I was not a big fan of how he fought against Jimmy Rivera. That's why I'm going to say I think there's some potential value on Ewell here. I think that Ewell, he's rangy. He's going to have a big 9.5-inch reach advantage here. He's more rangy. If he can keep this fight on the feet, like I said, Stamann takes his foot off the pedal at times, a lot of times. So but Stamann has good head movement and good. He's a good wrestler. He's a good grappler, and I think he'll have the edge with the wrestling and whatnot. And overall, I'm kind of thinking Stamann wins this fight, but I'm close to picking Ewell. The value is definitely on Ewell there. I don't like that minus 300 line at all on Stamann. And, that's how I feel about that. That was the Rivera fight. Rivera was landing some clean shots. So, wait to Saturday to see my official pick on that. But probably will be Stamann. But you guys understand what I'm getting at there. The line is high. All right, what a fight we got here. Diego Ferreira taking on Beneil Dariush. This is the second time these guys are throwing down. Of course, Benny did take the decision victory a while back. I think it was like in 2014. Maybe it's been a little bit earlier than that, but it was a while back. A lot has changed. I'm extremely high on both these fighters. Both these guys' ground games are excellent. Their striking is really nice. Of course, Benny working over with King's MMA, Rafael Cordero, and beautiful body kicks. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. Diego Ferreira, also a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, who's been looking like he's coming around on the feet as well. This is a fight I'm really torn on. Ferreira's going to have a 2-inch reach. Dariush was really able to look good as of recently. You take a look at his most recent fights, man. Taking out Scott Holtzman, who I do hold pretty high. Jakar Close, that was a fight he got caught in, came back and knocked out Close. Showed how resilient he could be. Showed this submission game against Camacho. Diego Ferreira has been going through the gauntlet, taking out guys like Jared Gordon, buzzsawed him. Remember that he took his chicken winged him, put him down, and TKO'd him. Kyle Nelson, a tough fighter. Rastim Khabilov, Merabak Taisimov, the nasty striker. Anthony Pettis submitted him. So, both these guys are I think the winner of this fight is going to be pushing right to the top of the division, and I think that the line is very accurate. It's very hard for me to tell you one way or the other who's going to win this fight. This fight is really an even fight. I truly believe that. And I'm not just saying that, there's certain lines that are even, and I'll feel very confident about a specific fighter, but this line's very accurate. I do think this fight can go either way. Diego Ferreira at 36 years old, I really think that he's still just hitting his prime right now. He's really been putting it together. I'm going to edge Benny. Benny took the first fight. Benny's a little bit younger, 31 years old, about to be 32, and he's came through for me on some big spots there. He's put some money in my pocket, but I think this fight's very close. So let's keep an eye on this fight throughout the fight week. Let's see how these guys are looking on the scales. Let's see how they're looking all throughout fight week. But I'm edging Benny right now. All right. We got a women's bantamweight bout that cruised up to the co main event. Marion Reneau taking on Macy Chiasson. Macy Chiasson only has 7 professional fights. Of course, you guys remember her from The Ultimate Fighter. You probably remember where a lot of people were very high on her, including myself. I was. She was going in there. She was smashing girls. Smashed Gina Mazzani. But then all of a sudden she fought Lena Landsberg, and things didn't look that good for her there. That was a fight where she kind of just looked like, the technique wasn't all there. She was getting held against the cage. She was kind of getting tired in there. Lena Landsberg is not a girl that you really want to be outclassed in the way that she was. You don't want that to happen to you. It was not a good look. She did since bounce back with the victory over Shayna Young. In my opinion, she wasn't even overly impressive in that fight as well. The Sarah Moras fight, she ended up getting the finish there. She smashed Sarah. She has a powerful ground game. If Macy Chiasson gets on top of you, she does have some heavy hands, heavy hammer fists. Marion Reneau is a girl that's 43 years old. This is a girl that I've been watching for a little bit. She's trained her Muay Thai with Doug Marshall. If you guys remember Doug Marshall, the old WEC champion, worked on her Muay Thai with him for years. Marion Reneau is a very tough chick, 43 years old, still hanging tough. She showed wrinkles in her grappling game as well. She's evolved there as well. Chiasson's going to have a 4-inch reach. She's coming in as a minus 210. I expect Chiasson to be the overall better fighter here, and she should pull off the victory. I would hope for her to see her mix in some takedowns and get on top. I think she really shines there. But you know what? If she doesn't, I could see this being a tough fight for her. If Lena Landsberg was able to look the way she did not too long ago against her, I don't see why Marion Reneau can't. I've seen Marion make certain girls' nights a very tough night. You think about the Sarah McCann fight. She pulled off that submission there, knocked out Talita Bernardo, the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. And then she lost to Kat Zingano, Yanin Kutsiskava, the tough Russian chick. And Raquel Pennington, another tough, solid fighter. Don't let the 10-8 record deceive you. Marion Reneau is a tough fighter. I think the value's more so on Marion Reneau, but I do think that Macy Chiasson should show up. I feel a little bit confident that she'll show up. Minus 210. You got to make the decision. Is that line a little bit too high? I tend to believe that it is, but she might show up and smash. Like I said, Reneau, 43 years old. Things got to give sooner or later. All right, in the co-main event, we got the legend, gotta say his name first, Frankie, the Answer Edgar, taking on Cory Sandhagen, who is coming off a very, very impressive victory. Of course, he had that knockout against Marlon Moraes, where he hit him with the spinning heel kick. Kind of landed with the calf, but still dropped him. Cory Sandhagen is a guy that's so rangy for the division. Beautiful footwork. I truly believe that his game is coming around. Did drop the ball against Aljo. Got submitted there. That's a major red flag, especially against a guy like Frankie, the Answer Edgar. Because we've seen him go in there and exploit guys in that same manner that Aljo did to Cory. We've seen him go in there and take guys down. The tough, very, very skilled Mexican fighter, and Yair Rodriguez. We saw him brutalize him there. I do think Cory's more capable with the grappling and whatnot, but still, just keep an eye out on what I was saying there with Frankie being able to take guys down and smash them. Frankie is a legit wrestler, but Cory Sandhagen has everything going for himself right now. 28 years old. He's really cruising into his prime. I think that Aljo fight motivated him. He came back, smashed Moraes. I think Frankie is 39 years old and is getting close to hanging him up. The fight against Pedro Munoz, that was a fight that I'll sit here. If any of you guys ever want to sit down and watch that fight round by round, and I will say Frankie the Answer Edgar had a true possible route to winning that fight. I know a lot of you guys think it was a complete robbery. He did get the nod. I think that if you break the fight down round by round, you will see that Frankie has a real case to say he won that fight. But yes, the more powerful shots and the damage by Munoz was definitely inflicted on him, and you could say that Munoz should have won that fight. I hear you boys, but it was closer than some people think. He hurt Frankie, man. Frankie and Frankie fashion, he got rocked, he got wobbled and whatnot, but showed that he has the heart of a lion. And but Cory Sandhagen should come in this fight, and he should be able to hurt Frankie on the feet. He should be able to TKO him. He should be able to hurt him, sub him. He should be able to do a couple different things here. Minus 415, though, that line is pretty hefty. Maybe keep more of an eye on that plus 300 favorite and Frankie there. But it's tough to even say. So going back down to the flyweight division, we got Alexandre Pantoja taking on Manel Kape, who is making his UFC debut. He's been in some big fights, this guy Kape, and he's been over on the ONE FC scene, fighting some of the best Japanese fighters in the world. Let's take a look, man. I'm telling you guys, he's been in there with, Hiraguchi, Kyoji Hiraguchi. He's been in there with Uka Sasaka. Remember the tall, rangy guy, the Japanese guy used to train with Team Alpha Male and whatnot. Takeya Mizugaki. Excuse me, guys, here, man. I'm spitting out these Japanese names. Took out Nakamura. He's been in there with some real guys, man. He's been over there in the Ryzen scene. Excuse me, I said ONE FC. Excuse me, the Ryzen scene. Took out Ian McCall. Ian McCall, a very crafty very skilled flyweight fighter. So I love the experience that he has going into his UFC debut because I think he's going to be completely ready to go here. Pantoja is a guy that's very talented. The striking has been there. The grappling's there. The cardio, though, on the other hand, has not necessarily been there. And we saw him gas out in that Askarov fight. I do think that Askar is a guy that it may be a little bit under the radar right now. So, maybe don't look too deep into that because Askar was grinding him out and making him work in there, and he took that fight. Pantoja's other last loss was against Davison Figueiredo, the champion. Took out Matt Schnell. You guys know I'm very high on Matt. Wilson Hayes, Uka Sasaka, so he took him out as well. The guy we just talked about. Shout out to Matt Schnell with the big victory the other day. He was up in the Instagram live video I had going on the other night. Let's get a little live video going with Matt Schnell there too, coming off that big win. He says that he's fighting Brandon Royval. You guys know the very entertaining Brandon Royval. He said that's on the horizon, so keep an eye on that. Come on, getting that real insight here, MMA Live discussion style, man. Getting fights before they're even announced. That's what's up, guys. Back to this fight, though. Manel Kape. This fight's almost a pick'em. I'm going to take... I've been back and forth on this fight, too, man. Another very close fight. I was going to say, Pantoja does tend to gas out a little bit at times, and that's a red flag, but Manel Kape also looked like he gets a little bit slow in the later rounds as well, so that's the specific reason why I'm taking Pantoja, because I think Pantoja can definitely hang towards the beginning of this fight, and I think their cardio levels should be just about the same going into the later rounds. Pantoja is very skilled on the mat. I could see him getting on top, working some ground game here, and Kape is he's a wild man. He's a wild guy that's been knocking dudes out as of recently too, taking dudes out. Look at all these knockouts, man, coming off 3 finishes in a row. Definitely can go in there and get a finish on Pantoja, but I don't think that's as likely to happen as Pantoja show up and deliver a victory here. So I'm still turning away with the burps. I know I saw some comments. Some of you guys were saying, let him rip in the mic, man. Maybe I'll do that for the next one. But for here, we're going to take Pantoja. And now we're going to work our way up to the big main event. Cannot wait for this fight to be going down, boys. Alistair Overeem, the legend, taking on Alexandre Volkov. Like I said, an excellent stylistic matchup. Both these guys have so much experience. Both these guys, very talented strikers. Overeem, in my opinion, is going to be the better grappler here. We've seen Alexandre Volkov struggle with the takedown defense against Curtis Blades. Curtis Blades was ripping him down that entire fight. But Volkov hung very tough and actually wore on Blades in that fight. I think if that was a 15-round fight, Volkov would have won. But again, 5 rounds is as long as we go. And I'm sure Volkov is really working on his takedown defense. But I don't know, wrestling is one of the hardest things to pick up, in the sense where if a guy's been training it for so much longer than you, it's hard to get your muscles to just react and to stuff those takedowns. You can drill and you can drill, but I don't know how quick you can change things within a year or whatnot. But Volkov is nasty on the feet. I could see him knocking out Overeem here. I do think Overeem's chin is vulnerable, but with Overeem's new type of fighting style, where he's very cautious in there, I could see him also avoiding that big shot or being durable, eating some shots like he did against who was that? He was eating those shots from Sakai, ended up destroying him after that. Ate those shots from Walt Harris, took him out after that. I could see him survive here as well and work the takedown game, work the fighter IQ here to pull off the victory against Alexandre Volkov as a plus 145 dog. I could also see Volkov sharpening up his game and going out there and landing a nasty head kick or a nasty straight right down the pipe and getting a knockout on Overeem. Very, very possible. So maybe you look at that Volkov knockout prop, and if he doesn't get that knockout, Overeem is the way to go for the straight up win. 5-round war. And shout out to Alistair Overeem. I am a giant fan of his. And like I said earlier, we may not be seeing the Reem. We may not be seeing the Reem fight for much longer. So we always do appreciate seeing him step in there. And I'm gonna take Alistair Overeem to pull off the victory the following Saturday as the dog. And some possible value there, plus 145, plus 150. Keep an eye on that line. All right, boys. That's going to wrap up the fight card prediction video. I appreciate you guys as always. Like I said, appreciate you guys tuning in. Keep an eye out for the MMA live discussion over on Instagram Live. We're going to be killing it over there. We're going to get a lot more viewership over there. And I'll still be posting the videos here on YouTube. However you guys want to see them, you'll have your choice. But if you want to be live, catch me on Instagram, MMA Fortune Teller _. Reach out to me, MMA Fortune Teller at gmail.com. DM me on Instagram, Twitter, The MMA Teller. That's about it, boys. You guys all have a good night, a good day, a good morning. And take care of yourself, man. I'll catch you guys very soon. Signing out, The Teller.
The Teller, the Teller, the Teller.
It's another day. Left jab, right jab. This is MMA. Mixed martial arts, quick body parts, undefeated when I pick 'em. Who the champ, who the victim? Looking in my crystal ball, I predict the winner. Never stop fighting. If you lose, keep your chin up. Know how the game go. I'm a smart fella. Welcome to the show. This the MMA Fortune Teller.
The MMA Fortune Teller.
The Teller, the Teller, the Teller.